Welcome back to the Manny Diaz Show. Joe Zagacki and Don Bailey Jr. University of Miami head coach Manny Diaz. Canes and the Duke Blue Devils on Saturday from Wallace Wade Stadium, 12:30. It's been a roller coaster of a season, but if you win this one on Saturday, it's 5 out of the last 6. So you finish with a 5-1. We'll finish with a 5-1 mark. I would imagine that's important as well as getting the victory.
Yeah, I mean, from where we were, sitting at 2-4. It's been the appropriate response. I think what we're most proud of is that for all 11 games the team has played extraordinarily hard. They've stayed together through definitely some adverse times. But I think as the lineup has settled itself through the course of the year, I think our goal is to always be playing our best ball, and I think that's happening, and we kind of fixed the turnover thing this past week, and it's important now to finish what you started, and that's what Saturday's all about. Let's finish this regular season on a good note.
Coach, you identified a couple guys as return men in the ball game as well. George as a kickoff return, and then, his punt return, Restrepo as kickoff return, and they just, especially George, he looked as natural as he could be. You got him in the open field, he looked great.
Yeah, and we talk about complementary football. What a great way to start a game. You kick off, this is why you defer. Defense gets a 3 and out. They punt, and George makes a big return. So offense really starts around midfield, right? Bang, offense scores a touchdown. Tech gets a field goal, they kick off to us, Restrepo runs it right back out to midfield. So really the first 2 times our offense had the ball, they had a short field to attack, and bang, you're up 14-3. And that's really an offense, special teams, defense, combined complementary football effort to get started. So our players believe in our returners, and when that happens, I think about when we had KJ Osborne a couple of years ago. Those guys, they strain a little bit harder. I mean, you want them to always strain, but they're no dummies. They see who's back there with the ball, and when they know that they got a guy that usually on punt return, you got to make a guy miss. No one's going to handle their blocks the whole time covering down the field, and that's why we make such a big deal that if you do lose your guy, go find the next guy, because Jacoby can make one miss, and then we can really get explosive plays without creating penalties.
We were talking about the effort of your team, and from my perch, which is pretty far away, by the way, but from our perch, you don't see anybody dropping their head. You don't see guys pouting. You see guys accepting their roles. Taking that into consideration, you have a team that you're going to play this week that's lost 7 in a row. How do you sell that to your team one more time?
Well, what we talk about us. And what we have found this year is that, when we protect the football, when we play with discipline and we keep our penalty number low like we did on Saturday, we don't give up explosive plays on defense, we're hard to beat no matter who we're playing. But conversely, if we do turn the ball over and if we're undisciplined and don't tackle well on defense, I mean, we can give up plays to anybody. So we have tried to keep the focus on us throughout the year. And I mean, look, what we told it, we're 1-2 the last 3 years against Duke. That's a true statement. You know what I mean? So we're not in the position from where we've been to overlook anybody. That's not how we got ourselves off the ropes back when we were 2-4, and we will respect this team and this opponent as we have everyone we've played so far this year.
Coach, their running back number 21, Durant, is 1,100 plus yards. I think he's top 15 or 16 in the country in rushing.
That's right.
Nobody's heard of him in the ACC, but you watch the tape, and he's the real McCoy.
Yeah, he can run the ball, and then they've got a wideout. Bobo has got a tremendous number of catches for them as well. And look, it's just such a great year for offense in our conference. I mean, there's great wideouts everywhere. There's great quarterbacks everywhere. So sometimes some guys like that, they kind of get lost in the shuffle from some of the other bigger names that are out there. So yeah, they've got guys that can do it, and it's going to be a great challenge and test for all 3 phases of our team.
Hayward, their linebacker, has about 1 million tackles. They always play a lot of guys in their secondary, right? Are they still a team that wants to be, now they've struggled, but philosophically, David Cutcliffe has always been about protecting the red zone.
Sure. No, well, they're very aggressive. I mean, they're going to play a lot of different types of man coverage, but they want to be in man. They want to make everything difficult on you. And I think about when we went up there 2 years ago, and we had a hard time getting open against them. We had a hard time protecting them. We had a very hard time moving the football against them. So a year ago, we were able to create explosive plays, and we were able to put up a big number against them. So if you can't be explosive against them, it's really difficult because they try to eliminate all easy offense, by playing really tight coverage.
Coach, last week we talked about a few minutes ago, you played 2 quarterbacks. There's a chance you'll see 3 this week. They seem to be rotating guys in, some of that from injury, but they're trying to find the right equation as well.
Yeah, they've actually played 4. And some are in there more to run, some are in there more to throw. So there is a little bit of similar to what it was a week ago. I mean, obviously we didn't know we would see so much of number 4 a week ago. But there is a little bit of understand who's in there, because that certainly is going to dictate the menu of plays that you're going to see. So our guys are going to have to be aware how it changes, whether it's series by series or down by down.
Coach, your defensive line going into this game, and as you look at them over the last, 5 games or so, it seems like they continue to ascend, and you see guys like DeAndre Johnson getting a sack a game, McLeod another sack and strip and a fumble, and then that old Nesta Silvera, maybe he's been saving his best for last also, but he's been often we call there's Silvera hustling to the play.
Yeah, well, you said the word hustle. I mean, what stands out, jumps off the tape is his effort to the ball. I mean, he always makes some disruptive plays inside the box, and we'll see some here in a minute. But when the ball gets out of the stack, and he wants to be the first guy there, and that's really inspiring for a young defensive lineman. It's not about making a play just in your little 4x4 square that you live in. It's about when the ball goes out, relentless effort, go get it. DeAndre Johnson, Zach McLeod, wow, I mean, we're going to miss those 2 guys. I mean, you want to talk about wishing you had another guy for another year. Of course, Zach, that'd be year number 7, but with Zach just going to defensive end, you really see the light coming on in his ability as a pass rusher over the last 4 or 5 weeks. DeAndre, really the same way. It would be, what a treat if we could have DeAndre for another year, but he's out of eligibility, because both those guys have really turned into the defensive ends that you really need, that, coming up with a sack a game almost between, for each guy, and really disrupting quarterbacks.
Well, Coach, Zach is tipping towards 8. I think that's the lucky number that you've hit the last 3 years are so on defense, or it's been even longer than that, but he's really developed into that. But another guy that we saw a lot of last week was Gilbert Frierson, and it was nice to see him have a big game.
Yeah, Gilbert's been steady for us all year, played really well, like you mentioned, on Saturday. When you have guys like Gilbert and Amari, they're both playing the same spot all year and both really playing very well, both very intelligent players. And putting Amari back at safety, you can do that because you have a Gilbert and a guy like Chase Smith, and what a great experience for Chase Smith to have 2 just like steady as a rock seniors to mentor him, and Chase got in there and made some good plays as well.
I saw these numbers today inside the ACC. There are 8 teams that are either 6-5 or 5-6. So kind of a 2-part question, just a conversation. And I also saw this: if Miami wins on Saturday, you'll be 12-5 in the ACC in the last 2 years. That's behind Clemson, who's 14-3. How does one get a little more separation inside this conference where everybody seems to be jumbled up? You're kind of trending in that direction, but how do you create more separation?
Well, number one, we should recognize the conference is very competitive, and we should respect the league that we play in. I mean, these are good football teams. I think we saw it on display. If you watch, if you saw Pitt and Virginia going back and forth, and Armstrong and Pickett, these are 2 big time guys that, in my mind, and the experience that I've had in the ACC, we haven't had guys like this come through. This year has been, you look at the quarterbacks just in our division this year: Armstrong, Pickett. I'm talking about Sam Howell at North Carolina. You look at the other side. I'm sorry,
Cunningham.
You got Cunningham at Louisville. It's like a Lamar Jackson Jr. last week. And Sam Hartman at Wake Forest is transcending their season there. There's Leary at NC State throws for 300 yards, seems like every week as well. So big time quarterbacks is going to raise the level of competitiveness, because if you have a quarterback like us, if you can score, you can be in every game. That's just the true matter of it. And then you've got like in our side, you've got really good defensive coaches like Pat Narduzzi at Pitt and Bronco Mendenhall. But you got guys that have great defensive minds that are having a hard time trying to figure out how to slow down these great quarterbacks. So highly competitive league. In our mind, we feel like we have to continue to keep recruiting. I think our young players are learning what it takes to win a game. We look back at the 3 heartbreakers in our league that we've dropped, and the things that have gotten us in those 3 games. Sometimes there's a process on how do you learn how to win, and you see the distinct differences between the games we've won and the games we haven't. I think it's been a great experience for our guys that will return, and will have had some success in this conference. But I think more importantly, just that drive now to take into the offseason how to go make a run at it next year.
I was just say I saw this number. You mentioned Bronco Mendenhall, and this obviously your coach should not have shot at him just to show you how hard it is to defend. I think in the last 4 games they've given up 1,500 yards of defense, and he is a really good defensive mind.
He has an outstanding defensive staff. He's a great defense, and that's my point. I mean, if you look at that game, which is again should be a showcase game in our league, and it is. I mean, these are two great football teams. But fellas, look at college football. I mean, you look at whether it's in the college football playoff the last few years. When you get around great quarterbacks and great offenses, and I don't care who's been playing in the championship game, everybody's scoring 45 points in the college football playoff championship game. That's just what it is, and that's what happens when you get to this level where you're really, and it's like us on offense. I mean, when we execute and we don't turn the ball over, we're hard to hold under 30 points. We just are, and that's why college football now is a 30-point scoring game. It's about getting to 30 to give yourself a chance to win. And whether you look at Alabama, Arkansas last week, it's around the country right now. The SEC championship game last year was 50-something to 40-something. It's the world that we live in. So we respect our league. We've learned a lot about it this year. I think our young guys have had a great experience that they can take going forward.
Coach Lou Headley, let's not forget him. Our punter dropped 2 inside the 20 last week, and where is he? Can he come back? Is he leaving? He went out for senior day, of course, but yeah. I think he's been one of the most consistent weapons on this football team.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Lou does have the ability to come back, and I do think that is an option he's still considering. He wanted to do senior day just because, we had some guys that did senior day last year. So Zach McCloud joked last week this is his 3rd senior day.
I was going to say 3 for Zach.
Right. So, but Lou has been. You got to think back at the steps of building a program. You need to think back at what our punting was before Lou got here.
That's right.
And Lou changed us. No different than Jose Borregales changed us, because our special teams have really been an issue. And what went from being such a net negative back in 2018 has really turned into such a positive in the 3 years since. So really thankful for what Lou's done. We want what's best for Lou, and if that means coming back to Miami, we'd be tickled to have him back. And if that means taking on the NFL, we'll be behind him all the way.
Well, we'll wrap this segment up with you got Duke on Saturday. Best of luck, a win. It's 5 out of the last 6, so it's a nice way to finish things up.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think I think our guys they enjoy playing. I think this team enjoys the camaraderie. It's a Thanksgiving week. It's a week where you want to be thankful for who you get to come to work with every day. I think we are. And I think as a staff and as a squad, I think what we've been through this year has really brought this team close together. I think the proof is in the pudding. You just watch us play, and it looks like a team that enjoys playing for each other. And we have one more regular season opportunity to do that. And if we do that, they'll tell us where we get to go for a bowl, and wherever they send us, we'll be very excited to go there.
Okay, we'll continue on the show. Miami and Duke coming up on Saturday. More on the show right after this.
With UHealth Virtual Clinics, you can see our experts in every specialty wherever you are.
University of Miami health system providers are available here for all your healthcare needs.
All you need is a phone or tablet to schedule a virtual visit with us.
See a UHealth provider virtually today or at a time that's convenient for you.
Visit umiamihealth.org/virtual clinics or call 305-243-4000.
Thanks, Road Warrior.
So long, happy little blue car.
No matter what you call your car,
Goodbye, Speed Demon.
or why you're letting it go, AutoNation will buy it, and you don't have to buy one from us. We're paying top dollar right now. So go to AutoNation.com or come see us for a super easy appraisal. Get paid on the spot, and you can deposit it the same day. Visit any AutoNation store or AutoNation.com. What drives you drives us.